Well, the Ailes Apprentice program is a one-of-a-kind mentoring program started by our chairman and CEO, Roger Ailes, to promote diversity inside the television news industry. And as we celebrate Black History Month, we have teamed up with the program once again to bring you some remarkable stories inside the African-American community. And she is one of the co-hosts of Outnumbered and the anchor of Fox Report Weekend. Harris Faulkner joining me now to kick off the series once again and introduce us to one of the most inspirational speakers in America.
Well, I tell you, this is life-changing stuff. I love this series, and we're going to kick it off, as you just said. Let's go.
The perfect person.
Well, when you meet Bishop T.D. Jakes in person, it surprises you a bit how unlike a rock star he comes across, and then you glimpse it. That megawatt energy that lets you know just how he leads a congregation like the Potter's House in Dallas, Texas, a mega church with more than 30,000 members. But for a man who's so accomplished, so much writing books, producing movies, and saving lives, he's one of the most humble and hardworking people you'll ever meet.
Why give up on your daughter when God can change her? Why give up on your son when God can change? I believe. Yeah.
You know what's so interesting to me, and in full disclosure, my family members in Dallas frequent your church, the Potter's House, and I'm always impressed at the numbers of people that you draw. How in the world do you preach to so many people and yet have a life-opening moment for this one and for that one?
I think I practice so long with 7 and 8 people that I'm so in tune to the individual that the masses of people are not my focus. I really don't feel like I'm preaching to 8,000 people in a live audience or 20,000 people streaming online. I really feel like I'm talking to you.
They believe the dream more than the reality and shatter the reality and walk into the dream.
Nicknamed the Bible Boy when he was just 10 years old, he carried around the good book everywhere he went. Thomas Dexter Jakes, TD, to anyone who knew him, grew up believing he was put on this earth to save souls.
I have people in my church that I went to kindergarten with.
Really?
I have people who...
Were you preaching when you were 5?
No, I was a little devil.
Oh, no!
Yeah, just like everybody else. Yeah, that's the greatness of my story. It's the ordinariness of who I am. I have not tried to lift myself up as an icon of accomplishment, but rather a fellow struggler in the tempestuous waves of life.
One of those waves shook the bishop's core early on. He lost his father to kidney disease when he was just 16, a loss that ultimately drove him to the pulpit, setting up out of a small storefront in Montgomery, West Virginia.
My bishop gave me $200, which was the first month's rent, and $200 deposit, and told me to go for it. And I worked a job every day for Union Carbide. And then in the evenings, I would drive to Montgomery, which was maybe about an hour and 15 minutes away from where I live, to preach. And initially, literally, with nobody there.
Well, how did they find out about you?
I'd get on that piano and start playing that piano and bring that mic down. I'm tenacious. Now, that's one thing you need to know about me. I'm a very tenacious.
I guessed that, but thanks for the note.
Absolutely. Write that down.
In the name of Jesus.
To watch him preach, it's easy to see the power of his message, one that's strong enough to support a church with more than 30,000 members.
I think that to some degree my destiny is to help you find yours. And I think that's a very important element of my center.
With all these good intentions, the bishop has faced critics who question some of his teachings and the wealth he's amassed from his books and movies.
You have said in this job, people will rob you of your humanity if you let them. Wow. I thought it was tough being in the news.
Oh, yeah. But it's tougher in the ministry because they will either deify you or crucify you, but they won't ever normalize you. We love to put people in categories and rob them of their individuality, and I'm just not having it.
For the bishop, enduring such scrutiny is just part of the trade. But as a father of 5, it hasn't made raising his children any easier.
How hard is it having normality, raising children, teenagers?
Ooh, girl.
In the
Please.
Well, I mean, just in the public eye, but just in general.
Horrible. It was horrible.
Worse, when he found out his 13-year-old daughter, Sarah, was pregnant.
What lesson can you teach me as I'm raising my daughters? You know, look, I've been blessed to get this time with you, and I want to know because...
My daughter wrote me a letter After she had had her baby, she said, "I'm sorry that I hurt you and Mommy." Now, bear in mind, she's still a child herself. And I cannot even describe to you what that was for me emotionally. We were shocked and appalled. But she told me it was worth it all to see how much you love me.
You're going to make me cry.
I told her I'm far more interested in being your daddy than I am being a preacher. You can get a pastor anywhere. You got one chance to have a daddy, and I'm going to rock you through this. And she turned out amazing. But it was my opportunity to show her that love is tough enough to be stretched and not shattered.
His latest book, Instinct, became an instant New York Times bestseller. The book tries to help people find their inner drive so they can ultimately reach their full potential.
Where does your drive come from?
My faith that I have a purpose that's bigger than me.
Do you ever turn it off?
It's hard to turn it off. I have 300 people on staff, but the responsibility of making that payroll, you know what I mean, is heavy. And not to mention the greatest responsibility is over the souls with whom you have influence. The reality is you might be Superman on that stage. You're Clark Kent when you get home.
I like Clark Kent.
Yeah, you know what
As Lois Lane? I'm a fan.
Okay, good deal, good deal.
I told you, I mean, just so special. The Bishop Jakes is profoundly interesting. His great perspective on life is infectious. You hope to catch it. And generous. I asked him how he wanted to be remembered, and you know what he told me? He said, "I want to be here long enough to help the next generation find their way." A great inspiration. And we thought the perfect choice to launch our profile series this February, Black History Month. Now in our 4th year, and as I always say, Elizabeth, it's our shared American history.
Wow, that so touched me, by the way. Love strong enough to be stretched and not shattered. What a man. I have to thank you personally for bringing that to us today. And it's not the last time we get to see you again.
I know.
Which is so
Every
much
Friday.
fun.
It's our month, Elizabeth.
I love you, and I love
Yay.
doing this. I had tears in my eyes watching that. Thanks for that. And next week, we want to tell you we are going back, taking a look back at one of the greatest entertainers of his era, the one and only Sammy Davis Jr., Mr. Show Business himself. That's next Friday, right at this exact same time here on Fox and Friends. Don't miss it on the Curvy Couch. Harris, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Well done.